Hello, my name is Eric Chappell, author of AutoCAD Civil 3D 2013 Essentials, and this is the additional exercise for Chapter 18. In this exercise, we're going to use some QTO Manager, we're going to use some materials for corridor sections, and we're going to do some plan production. So starting off, our first task is to use QTO Manager to assign the chain link fence pay item to the fence around the pond, which is here, and some fence along the north side of the common area here to the south. So pretty simple task. We're going to go to the Analyze tab of the ribbon and open QTO Manager. Right click the chain link fence item and say Assign Pay Item. I'm going to move this out of the way and just go right in and select our fence, which there's a polyline here and a polyline here. Notice as I click each one, it tells me that pay item 16 is assigned to each object, and I'll press enter. So now that that has been recorded and captured, I can do a takeoff, and I'll do an HTML report, and just like that it tells me that I've got 1,982 linear feet of chain link fence. So that takes care of our first task for this exercise. For the next task, we've been asked to compute materials for the corridor along Madison Lane. So what I'll do is first I'll launch the Compute Materials command, again on the Analyze tab of the ribbon. And we're doing Madison Lane and a sample line group called Quantities. That's the only one provided. And we'll click OK. Because we're using the basic road materials takeoff criteria, and it has generic names in it that match the corridor shape names, we can click Map Objects with Same Name and it picks them up automatically. So I can click OK. The software is going to pause for a moment. It's calculating all of those quantities, plus it's cutting additional sections through all those materials. And if I were to go into the prospector, we could actually see those additional sections. Now that the calculation is complete, I can go up here and launch the volume report command. I want to make sure I pick the select material style sheet, click OK, and that's going to open my browser, give me a little warning about scripts, and I can scroll down through and see a station by station account of my quantities. And if I go to the very last one, I can actually see how much of each material is required. And the values we're seeing are area, cubic yards, and cumulative. So this is really the value I'm interested in, is the very last one. 136 yards of asphalt, 274 yards of base, 1,007 subbase, and 96 yards of curb. So that easily we can compute materials from our corridor. For the final task in this exercise, we're going to create view frames and plan and profile sheets for Madison Lane. So I'll start with the Output tab, where I'm going to use the Create View Frames command to create view frames for Madison Lane. So I need to make sure I pick the correct alignment to start. I want to make sure I'm using the right template. So I'm going to browse to the Chapter 18 template, Chapter 18 folder, and pick the Plan and Profile template. And let's do 20 scale Plan and Profile sheets. I'll click Next, and I'm just going to accept the defaults for the rest of that information, and that's going to generate two view frames. You can see them outlined in blue here. Now that the view frames are in place, I can create sheets. I'll launch my Create Sheets command. Bring that dialog over here where you can see it. I'm just going to accept the defaults. I want to be careful though that it's creating all of my layouts in the current drawing before I do that. Earlier in the chapter we discussed the different methods of doing this. For our purposes here in this exercise, we're just going to keep it simple and create our two new layouts right in this drawing. I'm going to go into Choose Settings and do some of the same changes we made in the first exercise dealing with this. I'm going to change this to Mean Elevation. I'm going to check my Profile Display options and check my styles. So my design profile looks good, existing profile looks good, and I want to check my labels because I don't want labels on the existing ground surface profile. So let me click that, set it to no labels. Alright, so that should take care of our settings for the profile. We can go ahead and create sheets. It's going to warn me that it needs to save. I'm okay with that. I'll go ahead and pick a profile origin up here, making sure I have plenty of room. And it's going to create a couple of new profiles. It also launched Sheet Set Manager, which I've just now brought into view. And I can open one of those sheets by double-clicking it here. Or I could have just clicked on the tab below because the sheets are in this drawing. And there we can see a very nicely made plan and profile sheet for Madison Lane. And that completes our final task for the exercise, and that also completes the additional exercise for Chapter 18.